Hi, it's Russell James. Welcome to the Raw Chef TV. In this episode, we're going to be looking at how to roll sushi with a sushi mat. So we're talking about raw plant-based sushi here. So we've made up some parsnip rice, and all of these ingredients, if you want to learn a little bit more about this, you can look at my home study course. But for this video, I want to show you actually how to roll it using a rolling mat. And we've just got a few simple ingredients here that we're going to fill it with. So as I said, I've got my parsnip rice. That's a really nice colour because we added some pistachios in there. Just gives it a little bit of variation. Then we've got some preserved lemons, some enoki mushrooms. They're unmarinated, they're just as they are. Then we've got some microgreens here, some avocado, and then I've marinated some shiitake mushrooms in tamari, a little bit of apple cider vinegar and some olive oil. And then we've got a dipping sauce here ready to go for when we make up the sushi itself and once it's cut and ready to eat. So first of all, I'm going to take our nori sheet, and it's got one longer side than the other. So the longer side you want going left to right, and then you want to line that up with your rolling mat on the edge closest to you. Okay, so it's right at the edge, and that's going to make it nice and easy to roll over. So then we're going to take some of our parsnip rice. So this is literally just parsnip that we peeled, and then in the food processor just pulsed it up with the pistachios, a little bit of salt, olive oil, lemon juice, a little bit of light miso, and you get this really nice kind of sticky rice-like finish to it, which is perfect for this. And I like to be quite generous with this and get it right up to the edges of your nori. And this is actually quite it's a lot of fun to make this, but it's quite a decadent end result, but it doesn't really take that long. Maybe the longest thing is actually doing the rolling itself and the parsnip rice, which once you get practiced at it, won't take you long at all. So you get to a point where you just want to use your hands, making sure, like I say, it goes right to the edges. You can always add a little bit extra in there if you run short. Okay, and then I'm going to push that down so it's nice and compact and holds together. And now that's ready for the rest of our fillings. So I'm going to start with the biggest item, kind of the chunkiest item, which is the avocado. So let's pick a nice couple of pieces here. And when I'm rolling it, I want the two ends just to be a bit more decorative. So I'm overlaying the avocado at each end. So the kind of the prettier pieces, if you like. And then we're just doing one line all the way down the middle. It's probably a better looking piece of avocado than I've got there, so I'll swap that round. Okay, so just one line all the way along. Then let's go in with the enoki mushrooms, and again these look nice, just kind of sticking out at the end there. And then we've got the shiitake mushrooms. As I said, they are marinated. A little bit of tamari, olive oil, apple cider vinegar. Again, just keeping that line all the way down the middle. One of the biggest problems that's going to cause the rolling to be difficult is by overfilling this too much. So if this is your first attempt, if you're just starting out, just go quite small with the filling and then you can build up from there. Another thing I really like, and again I'll show you how to make these in my home study course, is the preserved lemons. And they're really packed with flavour. So just that thin line all the way down, so you get a bit of that flavour in every bite, is easily enough. Okay, and then the last thing, we've got these really nice microgreens. If you haven't got any microgreens, you can use just small salad leaves or salad leaves that have been chopped up. Just pull those apart, scatter them across. And again, these look great, just sticking out at the end, each end. You can even go so far as actually picking out a couple of really nice looking bits and have them laying on the end. Okay, so now we're ready to roll. So for most people doing this for the first time, it's the most nerve-wracking thing, but it's actually quite simple, and it is made even more simple by the fact that we're using a rolling mat. So all I'm doing is lifting the edge up with my thumbs, and then just gently holding onto that filling with the rest of my fingers. You don't have to push this down, and you don't have to, there's a feeling like you've got to go really quickly when you do this, but actually you can just do it nice and slow, because it's not going to fall out, it's packed in there quite nicely. And all I'm doing is just letting that come down so that the end of my rolling mat comes down onto the other side there. And if I just extend the rolling mat out and then pull it back a little bit so it scrapes up any kind of loose odds and ends. Now this is how you get the sushi nice and tight, is how tight you pull back on it at this stage. You've got to offset that against not pulling it too tightly, because the nori will just rip. So a decent amount of pressure. I'm not pushing down, I'm just pulling back. Get that nice and tight. And now maybe the trickiest bit is just being able to take that end piece out and have it not unravel. So as you do that, if you just roll it forward slightly and take out that end piece, and then just have a look underneath and check that everything's going well. And there you go. And then with wet fingers, you just want to wet the edge of that nori, roll it that last little bit, and just leave that for a few moments. And if you leave it for about 30 seconds or so, that nori will soften up just right to be able to cut it without making a mess. Okay, so there's a couple of key things to remember when you're cutting this, so that you preserve all that hard work you've done and have it looking really nice. Is a sharp knife is the first thing. So with a sharp knife, I'm just going to start to kind of saw back and forwards so that we get, rather than pushing down and flattening it, we get a nice clean cut all the way down there. You can put your fingers either side there and just cut through, and that last bit you can push down, and then you get this fantastic little pieces of sushi. And ideally you want to cut these so that they are bite size. Also what can help is the seam is just there. If you have the seam facing downwards, like actually touching the board, it won't unravel as you're cutting it. There we go, and then I just serve that with a little bit of tamari. And if you follow those instructions, you'll have perfectly rolled nori every time.